We understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our sports med specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. Its daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947 and the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Order online at conecuhsausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Tuesday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we were joined by Alabama defensive back Bray Hubbard.
Coach Womack with his success down in South Alabama. I mean, Mobile is only 45 minutes from my hometown, so I've heard all about that. I have multiple friends that go to South Alabama, so I've seen everything that their defense did at South Alabama. I mean, they were kind of lights out and down there. So, but then Coach Mo, I remember Coach Mo when he first got here, he sat us all down in the team room, which is our meeting room. We're getting ready to work. We're gonna whatever, and but no, it was great. I mean, you don't see a lot of head coaches giving up jobs to go somewhere else, but they were like, "This is the place to be." Like, we're giving up head coach jobs to come here. Like, this is where we want to be. And he was like, "Let's get to work."
I'll have more in a moment.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Conecuh sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows that's how I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven, and everybody knows that's how I get my grill on. Conecuh sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, live from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, starting at 6 p.m. You can listen to Hey Coach across the radio network, the Varsity Network app, plus watch the video stream on RolledTide.com and the Alabama Athletics YouTube channel. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are off. And we are running. It is our Wednesday edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome in to a wonderful Wednesday show. We got a lot of stuff, a lot of Alabama, Georgia prep, Oklahoma, Auburn prep. We got all kinds of good stuff. And we've got a first in college football that just makes you sick. We'll explain all that. But it's Wednesday. And that can mean one thing, and one thing only. It is time for our seventh grader prognosticator to join us before he goes to school. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Grady the Greek, kind enough to join us this morning. Good morning, bud.
Good morning.
Morning, buddy. How we doing today?
Good. How are y'all?
It's a big one, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
What did you do during the bye week?
Well, I mean, I kind of went to Auburn to just tailgate.
Oh no! You went to watch the Auburn. You went to watch the Auburn Arkansas game, and I heard that you yelled a little War Eagle out there.
That is not true. That is not true.
Oh, just kidding. But it's Auburn, it's Alabama, Georgia, inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. What do you think?
I mean, it's going to be really tough. You know, we're going to need Milroe to have his best game of the season, to throw the ball. The defense is going to need to make some turnovers. But I'm going to say Alabama 28 and Georgia 24.
Okay, so you got it 50. The over under at 52. It's a little under 49 right now. Alabama, I think that the spread I saw last night had gone back up to 2. It's been, I think at some points way early in the process in January. I think when Saban retired, it was 7. Then it went down to 4, and then it's been going down steadily ever since. It was, I think, 3. Maybe a couple weeks ago, it's gone down to 2.5, 1.5, now back up to 2. And the over-under has been, around 50, 49.5, now slightly under 49. So what do you think the key besides Milroe playing well is going to be for Alabama? And of course, as you said, the turnover margin.
The running game.
Gotcha.
So does that lend into your MVP for the weekend?
Jalen Milroe.
So you
staying with Jalen Milroe.
Well, I think he's also referring to him making plays with his feet and his arm, because he'll probably be a big part of things. And 2 of the 3 games Grady has had Milroe being MVP, and he's pretty much pegged the MVP every time. Now, Grady, I know last week you had Tennessee big, and they started out looking like they were going to cover, but they didn't cover in the fourth quarter. But you still got the pick correct. Are you only going to pick Bama this week, or is there another game?
I'm just going to pick the Bama game.
I got you.
Oh, okay. So how was the tailgating though last week? Was the tailgating at least good?
I mean, yeah, it was fun. I got to hang out with my friends.
Okay.
Was that the first Auburn game you've been to?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Gotcha.
It's the first time you yelled War Eagle, though.
No, it's the first time you said.
I did not do that.
Well, Grady, I'll be honest. I think that's the first time you've told us you've gone to an Auburn game. So it's the first time that's gone on the record. So there you go.
Well, that's good.
So
it's very embarrassing.
I didn't say that.
Anyway.
Oh.
Right, well, hey, when's fall break?
I have no idea.
So
Okay,
did you guys? How did you guys end up doing last week on the football field?
Last week we lost 12-6, and then this week we won.
Oh,
we had to play yesterday, so we won.
So,
all right.
So did you? What did you play on both sides of the ball? What did you play?
I played offense.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right, well, congratulations on
good
the
win there.
Bud.
Good dub for Hartselle. So, you got a shout out for anybody today?
My buddy Reese.
Okay, Reese.
All right.
That's the first one there. So we got Reese on the radio.
Enjoy the day of school.
Thank you, sir.
All right, see y'all.
All right, thanks. Grady the Greek, kind enough to join us. I was just giving it. I knew he had gone down to the Auburn game over the weekend.
Well, I mean, that's the first time I've heard him admit it, though. I mean,
yeah,
because I asked him, I said, "Hey, have you been to? Is that the first time?" He goes, "No." So that's a little bit of a little on the down low. Some info on Grady the Greek. He's been to both sides of the fence.
28-24.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama on top, says Grady the Greek. We've rubbed the genie bottle, and it's come out.
Jalen Milroe MVP.
Yeah,
it's interesting because it was 27-24 last year. And Milroe was arguably the MVP in that game as well and outplayed Carson Beck. So, interesting pick from Grady. Always put some thought into it.
No, he does. He does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 256-576-4977. Mark from Spring Hill is with us. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Mark.
Hey, morning, guys. Morning. Hey, I think Grady is spot on there. I saw a statistic that I think helps Alabama fans and wanted to share that. I think this is an important stat that will determine the game, and I think I'll try to get it to Leonard's loser so he'll improve this week. But did you know, maybe section, that Mississippi State has a better scoring offense, better yards, better passing, and better rushing than Georgia?
Did not know that.
Okay, I'm looking right at it on ESPN website. Now, Ole Miss is number 1, Tennessee's 2, Arkansas's 3, Texas is 4, Alabama's 5, Missouri 6, Auburn 7. Interesting. But
what is that? What number is that in? Or I mean, what stat is this for?
This is for total offense. We're just looking at the offensive side of the ball. Okay, so that makes sense when you look at Kirby Smart last, I guess it's Kentucky, I thought he was going to shake his head off on the sideline with frustration. And Carlson Beck, I think that's his name, the quarterback for Georgia against Kentucky. This is not Alabama. Against Kentucky, he had wide eyes like he saw a deer. Whatever you want to call it. I mean, he was. I mean, that Kentucky defense had him so rattled. I know that Drew, you said this. If you expect that Georgia team to show up Saturday night, you got maybe some swampland to sell. Well, the numbers don't lie, and I think this is going to help Alabama. I don't think Georgia is nearly prolific as they've been in the past. Okay, and I think Alabama is, and so that's the difference. Georgia's defense, I think, give them a slight edge over Alabama's defense. But where the big difference is in the past and compared to this game is where I'm not worried about the game is the fact it's at home, night game, and we have the better offense. And I believe that stat. I mean, that Georgia is that weak. State's better. The only teams that are worse than Georgia are South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and the worst team in the conference is the one that Auburn's playing on Saturday.
It's an interesting stat. I think I watched the College Football Nerds video, and there's not a whole lot of data that you can use so far. It's still very early in the season, within the first month. But I think Clemson's a pretty good football team. I definitely think they're better than Mississippi State, and they handled Clemson with ease. I know Tennessee Tech's not very good, and they just went through the motions there. But that's the way that cookie crumbles. They got Kentucky's best shot. Kentucky wasn't good enough, because Georgia's kind of like Alabama. Everybody's going to give them their best shot now, and Alabama's going to get Georgia's best shot. Alabama's going to give Georgia theirs. It's going to be, but I don't think I'm not going to look too much into this. I'm not going to try to sit here and say that Georgia's not as good on offense as Mississippi State, because I've watched both of them with my eyes, and even before Shapen got hurt, you can't compare. Mississippi State, Georgia would beat Mississippi State so bad they'd have to turn the scoreboards off. It'd be like 56-3 is how bad it would be. It would be a beatdown of epic proportions. And so I just think overall, and I don't think people are giving Kentucky's defense enough credit. I do think they've got NFL guys all over that side of the ball. And so,
I mean, according to the NCAA stats, Georgia has in total offensive, and they do total offense in yards per game.
Right.
Okay. Georgia is 65th in the country.
Right.
402.3 yards a game.
That's still 400.
Mississippi State is 67th at 401.8. But here's the caveat. Mississippi State has played 4 games. Georgia has played 3 games.
Yeah.
So the numbers are a little skewed there because of one more game for Mississippi State. But, guys, Mississippi State's offense is not – I mean, when you think of Mississippi State, they are not a good football program right now. I mean, but they still move the ball. They just don't put up a lot of points. They move the ball. I mean, you average 401 yards a game.
They don't – and they can't run the football very well.
Right. You're only – they are
and Georgia can run the football. They have proven that.
Mississippi State is averaging 5.97 yards per game, per play.
Yeah.
Georgia is averaging close to 7 yards a play. 6.90 yards per play is what Georgia comes in averaging.
And again, I'll just say it. Georgia was number 1 to start the season. And so you got a target on your back every time. Mississippi State is not. Mississippi State is the worst team in the Southeastern Conference right now. But if they played each other, the way Mark kind of equated it, you would think that Mississippi State could play Georgia a good game. It would be a massacre.
Did you watch Florida and Mississippi State? That's all I gotta say.
Because Mississippi State's defense is so bad that Georgia would run up 500 yards. I think it's going to be a great football game. I've got Alabama winning 24-20. I've got them under the number, and we'll see. And certainly, but I will say this: Mark's talking about it's at night. It's in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Certainly, it is. But the last time Georgia beat Alabama, it was at night in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and that was in overtime. It was in 2007 in Saban's first year, and
I remember that one.
And so certainly, and Nick Saban. Most of the big game losses Nick Saban had. Now, this is not Nick Saban. This is Kalen DeBoer. It always seemed like it was a close game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So just be prepared. It's going to be a great football game, and hopefully the weather's going to get on out of here, and we won't have any inclement weather to affect the environment. But it's going to be, one hell of a football game, and interesting thoughts from Mark. But again, the body of work is small.
Yeah.
And so,
he is right. The team that does come to Auburn, Oklahoma, by the way, in all of college football, 119th in total offense this season, 299.5 yards per contest. They only average 4.45 yards a play.
They hadn't even had 300 yards of offense. I don't know what their final tally was after the fourth quarter outburst against Tennessee, but coming into that game, I don't think Oklahoma had 300 yards of offense in a game, even though they came in 3-0.
Alabama 24th, by the way, in the country in total offense right now, 466.7 yards a game. And this is why Auburn fans are frustrated. They are 27th in the country in total offense,
but just
averaging
turnovers,
462 yards a game. 8.03 yards a play is what Auburn is averaging right now. That's why
and I do
the
agree
frustration is sitting there.
With Mark that so far Georgia hasn't shown the explosiveness that they had with Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey. Even their running game to a certain degree. ETN's been really good, but I wouldn't say he's been spectacular. But is Alabama's secondary, how are they going to hold up? Because they have given up some deep shots, not completed. Now, if the throws were a little more accurate, they some receivers were running open. They can't really afford to do that against Carson Beck in Georgia, because my suspicions are that Carson Beck will end up hitting those throws unless he's on his ass, which means Freddie Roach's guys are playing with intensity for the entire game because they need to, or they should fire him.
Adios.
Greyhound.
Okay. By the way, Monday, I believe Lane Kiffin said their preseason schedule has not really prepared them for SEC play.
I wouldn't disagree with that, because they smoked
that,
Wake Forest, who's decent.
Yeah, but they, by the way, they have the nation's most prolific offense right now, averaging 670 yards a game, 8.85 yards per play. They've had 29 offensive touchdowns. But Lane Kiffin did go on the record and say that he doesn't feel like their schedule, their non-SEC schedule, has prepared them, and he hopes that what they've done in practice, what they did in everything else, has prepared them for SEC play. So,
well, I appreciate that candor. But I would agree with that, though. I don't think they've really played anybody, because I expected them to smoke Wake Forest. It's not basketball season. I know Wake's been to a few bowl games and stuff, but it's Wake Forest. Your starters leave for Alabama.
We've got to get a break in. When we get back, just something just awful. Just another tainted image for college football. Doesn't involve anybody in the SEC. Got to go out west for it, but it's just a black eye for college football.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck eastbound on Highway 20 near Construction Road in Decatur. That one's reported with injury and entrapment. We've got Parkway in Winchester with a motorcycle involved. That one's got a serious injury. McKee Road and Carroll Road also had a serious injury. They'll do full investigations on both of those. And we got a wreck coming out of the Shoals now, 2nd Street and Wilson Dam Road. That one sounds like it's going to be an injury type. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ryan Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. Mike Golick and I are set for Week 1 NFC action from Detroit when the Lions play host to the LA Rams. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and the Rams saw their season end in a wild-card loss in Detroit last year. Can Jared Goff and the Lions get him again? Join us to find out on Sunday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Listen to the Woody Anderson Ford Scoreboard Show, powered by Lake Gunnersville Ace Hardware. Each Friday night with Scott Tyson on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Well, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And we've seen NIL play a huge impact in college football. It's been a game changer, so to speak, in college football. And now we've said there's always going to be first, and we have another first in college football, this time involving UNLV. And I know we're saying, who the hell cares about UNLV? Well, they're 3-0 right now, getting votes. Barry Odom, the head coach out there at UNLV, one time at Missouri. They've beaten Kansas. Actually, they've beaten 2 Big 12 teams. They are a thought. They are penciled in as a possible playoff contender for the at-large bid from the group of 4 team or whatever they call it, whatever that group is wants to be labeled as. Their starting quarterback, Matthew Sluka, leading rusher on the team. He has, let's see here. He's thrown for 318 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's rushed for 253 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he's everything for UNLV. He's going to redshirt after 3 games now because of what he calls. He says, when I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made, which are not being upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments were not being fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of the program. In other words, he did not get the NIL money that he thought he was promised and didn't get more money, and so he's leaving the program.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's smart because I'll just be honest with you. You don't get better sitting on your ass. And, and you've your body of work is very small. You've played 3 games, right? As a true freshman quarterback. And
he's going to redshirt with the ambitions of transfer.
I know that, but I'm just saying he's in his first year of playing.
Yes.
I mean, you've put 3 games on film. You beat a couple of, Big 12 teams that are soft as butter, but you still, have done that. And your team was starting to get a lot of publicity to be a group of 5 contender to potentially make the playoffs. Well, guess what? You're not going to be on the field anymore. And if they do make the playoffs after you left, you know what the mantra is going to be? Well, it wasn't the quarterback. So if your team, flops, then maybe it'll get you a little bit more publicity. But at the same time, I mean, come on, man. I understand, and he's not the first kid that probably wasn't getting the money that he thought he had been promised. but kind of quitting on your team, and
that's the whole point. He quit on his team. He literally is walking away from his team in the middle of a season.
I mean, Jamar Chase, I'm just going to, because college football is going the way of the NFL, he has not gotten his huge contract yet for the Bengals. And he's obviously going to get paid like Justin Jefferson and some of these other people. And he tried to negotiate it during training camp and showed up to camp every day, but did not practice. And they could not get the deal done before the season. And Chase just said, well, I'm playing when the season starts, but not negotiating till after the season. And so he's just and he played the other night and played well, had 2 touchdown catches. Well, what this kid's doing is, I just think it's setting a bad precedent. He'll probably get some love from some folks, and I'm sure some schools will want him to transfer over there. I don't know that they're not going to he's not going to have as much interest as if he had led UNLV and bet on himself to the playoffs, because I'm sure he was getting something. Probably wasn't getting everything he wanted, but to say that he was penniless in Las Vegas, I very seriously doubt. They probably could have worked something out, but I mean, to me, it's just not a good look.
Right.
I mean, and again, we talked about this, about Billy Napier when they lost 2 of the first 3, when they looked awful against Miami, and they looked awful, when they lost at home to Texas A&M. People were saying, well, if you fire him now, there's going to be kids doing what Sluka did, just saying, I'm going to redshirt, I'm out, I'm not going to play. And so, again, that's why many people think, and the uncertainty with the administration, interim president, Scott Strickland, but they decided to let Billy keep coaching because a lot of the players believe in him. But I mean, Barry Odom, we're very familiar with him. I mean, he was a defensive coordinator at Missouri, head coach at Missouri, defensive coordinator at Arkansas before he went to UNLV, and he's obviously done a pretty good job with that program. But for a kid to just, put himself above his team and walk away, I mean, I think
it's a bad precedent for college football.
It does set a bad precedent. And again, I wish that, you could continue to negotiate and figure out a way to work something out so you're there for your squad. But everybody has to make the decision they think's best for themselves, but sometimes the grass always greener.
Does it happen in the SEC? You think? Do you think we'll see guys in the SEC do that?
I mean, we're at that point. I mean, look, Scott, that we're already, Alabama will be playing their 4th game. Same way with Georgia. Mississippi State already has. So you're reaching that 4-game cutoff. So we certainly will see. Nothing would be shocking, but this is why NIL has to get fixed, and why there's got to be some parameters so BS like this doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be some kind of system set up where, now if you want to do that, and if you're an NFL player, we've seen guys sit out seasons, man. We've seen it in the near past, in the recent past. We've seen guys take a year off during the COVID year. I believe CJ Mosley opted out and he took a year off. There's been guys that have done this. But again, they also knew that they weren't getting paid very likely. And, you were without pay and it was your choice. Well, this kid's doing the same thing to him. He's gotten off to a very promising start early in his career, and I guess you're betting on yourself. You're betting 3 games is good enough for people to, want to show interest in you. And I guess maybe he's already had interest probably through these third parties that everybody loves, where you're already getting recruited by other programs, and we'll see if that works out for the young man. But I still think getting on the field and playing and getting better, and you're still going to be on scholarship. You're still going to get something. I know he had to be getting some sort of NIL. Everybody is on the Division I level. Now different places have different, are getting. This is definitely not Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, whatever. UNLV is not that kind of program.
Right.
I just think it's a bad look.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
So, has there been any update on the lawsuit from the Jaden Rashada being how it's related to this about money promised that wasn't delivered? What was that, $13 million?
Yeah, not that I've heard, but I'm sure that's going to get thrown out. I mean, that's the biggest bunch of horse manure I've ever heard in my life.
Well, you talk about interest. Well, at least him being in Vegas, when Hugh Freeze decides to send the hookers, he won't have to send them very far. It'll just be right across town. So get that one taken care of. This situation with Quay Russaw being out, I know I listened to Brooks Austin yesterday, and I look at some of his stuff regularly. He's a really smart guy, knows what he's talking about. Who do you think we're going to have that's going to be able to step into that role, that's going to be able to do what he does, the way he moves around and sets himself and plays see ball, get ball? Do we feel like that is something that's unique to him, or do we feel like we got somebody that can do that the way he does it, or is that position going to be played a little different with him out?
You talking about Russaw?
Yeah.
I would say it might be a little bit different because, you know, as you heard Brooks Austin say yesterday, he was a guy that you never knew where he was going to line up. They would move him around. But I think they can do the same thing with Q Robinson. He's not as thick. He's not 251 pounds, but he's a very smart kid. And he's a fifth-year guy who's been around a long time. I wouldn't think things would change too much. Now, Keanu Coote, I think there were some times in the game against Wisconsin that he wasn't where he was supposed to be, let's say, and made some mental errors. So that's going to be the key. And that's the one thing that I worry about for Alabama is they're young on the back end, and they have been out of position a few times, but been fortunate to not be exploited by South Florida, by Wisconsin, even Western Kentucky to a certain degree. You can't do that 3 or 4 times against Georgia and survive. You've got to be in the right place. Now, if they make a great play, or, you know, they all, you know, the old saying, there's no defense for a perfect throw. And people used to say that about Tua all the time because he could throw it in the keyhole. So if Beck has that kind of game, or if he has a Steven Garcia game, remember Steven Garcia, he never came close the rest of his whole life in the game of football to doing what he did against Alabama, pulling that out of his ass that one time. Okay? He couldn't have done it one more time. It was the 1 out of 10 that it would happen. So that's why football is unpredictable, because you might have a guy have the game of his life. I can't remember the clown quarterback for Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl against Alabama. Never did that again, even close. He was MVP. He transferred to another school. Wasn't worth
Trevor
10
Knight.
cents. Yeah, there you go. Trevor Knight. Tried to forget his name. But he lit Alabama up in 2013. It was A.J. McCarron's last game. Alabama didn't give a rat's ass about it because they had already lost and didn't make the playoff or whatever. And so –
he was 32 of 44, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He threw for 348 yards in that game. Coming into it, he had only passed for 471 yards and 5 touchdowns.
He almost equaled it in one game. And then he transferred, and he wasn't worth 10 friggin' cents where he went. I think he got benched. So, and now I don't even know. Scott, you should looked up this Sluka guy. Now they're saying he's a grad transfer.
He is. This is his 4th year.
So he's not even a freshman. Because I don't really give a crap about UNLV. I do think it's a bad look, though.
Because UNLV's quarterback last year transferred. He was the MVP of the league or whatever. He transferred to USC to become the backup.
Yeah, because he become the backup. And so this Sluka guy comes in, and I guess maybe they missed a couple of payments. He's an older guy. So I still think it's a bad look, but he's thinking, okay, I'm not going to get my money. So, I mean, I will say this, though, Sluka, you obviously think you have no chance of playing any sort of professional football, I guess, because you're willing to just redshirt and go somewhere else and bail. I still think it would be more important to have film and more than 3 games worth, but hey, it is what it is. So that's the climate we're in, and some of these guys are going to make those decisions. But I'll just say this. Sometimes you're going to bet on yourself and you're going to win. And then sometimes you're going to beat Jaden Rashada and be on your 3rd school. And I know he's behind Carson Beck. I want to be fascinated to see if he ends up being the QB at Georgia next year, because they've still got some other guys on that football team and we all know that one of them left to go to Kentucky. But again, it's going to be very interesting to see if some of the quarterbacks that have hung in there at Georgia, if they decide to move on. Now, because Beck bet on himself and waited, and has become a multi-year starter and a very likely high draft pick. But we're not sure, what's going to happen with it in the future for the position for the Dogs.
Well, Joe Grady, if at any point he needs a paper bag, I got a couple, and I'll loan him one.
Well, Brady's done pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Or Grady has, pardon me. I'm thinking
he had fun. Brandon, thanks for the phone call.
Yeah.
By the way, Trevor Knight,
Yeah.
3 years at Oklahoma,
right.
4th year at Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
His
it was
4th
bad.
and final year, he threw for 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions
I
in
just
his
remember him
final
not
year
being good.
at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I didn't think he was very good, honestly.
No,
to me.
He in 13.
I mean, I guess he wasn't horrible, but he never came close to playing to that level that we saw in the Sugar Bowl.
No.
And really, that still was before a lot of the opt-out stuff. People were still playing in
you
bowl
had
games.
but you had to sit out a year lots of times when you transferred because
well,
he 13, 14, 15, and 16. I guess
think
he
he
must
was a
have
grad.
graduated
Yeah, I think
from
he was a
Oklahoma
grad transfer,
in 3
yeah.
years because he didn't sit out when he went to
Yeah.
A&M in 16. I got to get a break in. When we come back, we are going to crown our Bryant Bank Team of the Week.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. An overcast sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to persist all afternoon, even as we head into the evening across the Tennessee Valley. Some of those thunderstorms could be on the stronger end of the spectrum, but we're not talking about any severe weather. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 70s, dropping into the low and mid 60s through the overnight. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible through the overnight early into Thursday morning. Other scattered showers and thunderstorms through Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. An overcast sky, definitely going to be cooler. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a new wreck coming in, Wall, Triana, and Gooch Lane. That one's an injury type. Got McKee Road and Carroll Road. That one's a major accident. They'll do a full investigation on it. Got a motorcycle involved in a wreck on the Parkway at Winchester. That one had a serious injury. And we got injury entrapment in Decatur, eastbound Highway 20 at Construction Road. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Each week, they lace it up. Each week, we'll present our Team of the Week.
Get it in here. I got one thing to say.
So it's time for the Bryant Bank Team of the Week presentation.
There we go. Might as well if we hit the right buttons. Only been doing this for a little while now, you'd think. That's all right.
Well, after what happened on Monday, I didn't know. I didn't know if something shorted out or something. You never know.
I just didn't hit the right buttons. I was just talking.
You never know, man.
But there it is. It is time for once again for us to present our 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bryant Bank Team of the Week. Fresh off not one but 2 wins in a row, 2 region wins in a row. And I am sure after watching the film, you can say, okay, we got some work to do, but hey, we're headed in the right direction. The one, the only, the Sparkman Senators, our 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bryant Bank Team of the Week.
Yeah, no doubt. And their head football coach, Ronnie Watson, who's in his second season, they got a huge 7A Region 4 win, and they've played one of the most difficult schedules in our area as well, playing against Spain Park under Coach Vakakis, who has a very, very good football team, and a high major quarterback, Division I QB headed to Clemson, who's just a junior. Then they played Hillcrest Tuscaloosa as well, who's got a very, very good football team. So they have not, dodged anyone. They have played a very difficult schedule to open it up. I think that was by design because they wanted to, give themselves a good shot to make the playoffs in 7A Region 4. And they nearly pulled off a dramatic comeback against a very good Austin team that's unbeaten, as they lost on the road, came down to the last play, 2-point conversion as they dropped that game 31-30. And we're going to talk now some some high school football, some Sparkman-centered football with Ronnie Watson, as they are our 97.7 Team of the Week presented by Bryant Bank. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Coach, congratulations, first of all, with your kids. And, that's very difficult because you guys got off to such an amazing start last year, didn't finish the way you wanted to, and then get off to a slow start this year. But a lot of that had to do with who you played. But I thought your team responded very, very well. I think when you have the kind of comeback you did, I know you didn't get a win to start region play against Austin, but to me, when you do that on the road, that's got to give you a lot of confidence, and you responded taking care of Albertville. And then that game against Huntsville was kind of a rock fight, but your team, your defense, and was especially your front seven was outstanding in getting that huge win to go to 2-1 in 7A Region 4.
Yes, sir. I mean that box defensive box Friday night played their hearts out. So you had a lot of guys make a lot of plays. I mean Jamarion Matthews himself. I mean he had 8 tackles for loss in the game.
Is that a school record? Because he was in the backfield the whole game. I mean,
he was.
Man,
Jaden Chambers had 4 tackles for loss. Reed Smith had 4 tackles for loss. Jamarion, he added 3 more sacks, so I get him up to 10 for the season. They played, they played lights out. So they defense played well. Like I told the offense, you made just enough plays to win the football game.
Well, Coach, obviously the game there, I mean, you look at it and you made a lot of plays, but probably be a lot more too. The penalties, I am sure, is something you probably had to talk about this week.
Yeah, we talked. We performed some certain actions and stuff for it as well. You can't, you can't go in. Yes, they fought through it, and got the win, but you can't make that many mistakes many a times and beat a good football team like Huntsville. So, we were very fortunate, but clean it up and move on. Move on to this week.
Yeah, and absolutely, because there's going to be a lot of challenges left going forward. I mean, you arguably have played a team as good as any in the region in Austin, but you still you got to play the Florence Falcons, who have got a very good football team. We saw what they did against Bob Jones. You got to play the Bob Joneses, the James Clemens. So if you're going to make the playoffs, which I know is the goal of this group, and they want to turn this program around, that's why you're emphasizing cutting down on the penalties, because if without the penalties, you very likely win that game comfortably this past Friday night.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agree. I mean, we would, again, you don't have a holding penalty here or a block in the back that, I think we had, 3 that come back, big, huge plays, cut that total of all-purpose yards way down, and when you cut that down, you cut the points down. So.
Well, Coach, is when we talk about hard weeks in football, is this one of the hardest ones, knowing that on the other side of this is a fall break, and then the attention span sometimes can be a little wandering? Has focus been good this week in practice?
Focus has been great this week. We start, we have a non-region game this week with May Jemison tomorrow night, and then we'll go into fall break next week. This group has been honestly very focused. I've been around this school for 15 years, and this is one of the most focused Sparkman football teams I've seen. So they have a goal. That they're determined to hit them. They just want we just got to put ourselves in positions to be able to succeed at those goals.
And then we're talking to Ronnie Watson, head football coach of the Sparkman Center. And Coach, I know one of the messages has to be as well that if you can clean up a few of those penalties, that there's still a lot of upside for this team to continue to get better. You've got a young quarterback. I thought he was one of the big differences for you. I know you didn't score as many points as you wanted to, but I thought Keaton Williams did an outstanding job. I thought he threw the ball well. I thought he used his mobility, and he used that mobility late for you guys to seal it up, because you had to get a couple of first downs to run out the clock. And his mobility and his ability to make a play when things were breaking down, I thought was big in the game.
Oh yeah, I agree. The 2 plays there at the end on the last drive. One, most people don't think about it, but when I got him to the sideline, son, that's one of the highest football IQ plays you can make. Is he slid? He got the yards he could get, and he slid right before he went out of bounds to keep the clock going.
Mm-hmm.
And then that last first down where he ran a sweep to the left side, getting just enough, getting that ball out, getting right where he needed to get. Big, huge plays, and not to put the ball on the ground or throw the ball to the wrong team. That was huge Friday night as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, Coach, I was going to say that win against Huntsville was huge. Because it backs up the win against Albertville, gives you 2 region wins. If you had come out on that short end, you would have really put your faith in a lot of other guys. You needed some help and to stay in that playoff talk. 2 big region wins keeps you guys in control of getting one of those 4 spots. You guys still control the outcome of Sparkman.
Yes, sir. And that's always a great place to be. And we want to learn from, last year being in control when we were in control about this part of the season, and finishing and doing the right things to make good things happen.
And then, Coach, I know as far as the leadership of your football team, they're trying that they want to keep everybody on the same page, on the same path. I know, as Scott just mentioned, you guys control your own destiny. One good thing that came out of the Huntsville game, you just kind of pointed it out. Your team, while they committed penalties, they did not turn the football over. Thought your young quarterback took care of the football. Your running backs did a nice job of protecting it as well. And then when the difference in the game to me was Huntsville threatened one time. They had 1st and goal at the 2. Your front 7, stoned Huntsville. Created one of those tackles for loss. Your secondary did a nice job on the 2 pass plays, not to give up any touchdown, give up the short field goal. And then I know the block punt was a little bit unfortunate, but the rest of the game, I thought your kicking game was still very solid. I thought your punter did a very nice job. So, doing those little things, I think is going to give you guys a chance and being able to now control your own destiny. Because that's what I thought going into this game last Friday was the winner would kind of control their own destiny. And I know Huntsville had gotten off to a very promising start coming in at 3-1, but you guys had gotten a win the previous week. And now I'm sure the mantra in practice this week is you got May Jemison. It's an area. It's kind of a backyard rival, so to speak, not in the same region, but you got a chance to stack 3 straight wins, which is big for this team heading into that amen corner. The last 4 games, it's going to decide your playoff fate.
Yes, sir. And we've been, preaching that this week. We've been preaching, control the things you can control. That's all we can do. So, I would say the last 2 weeks, with Albert, when we had Albertville and you had the rain and, this week there's been a lot of talk about rain tomorrow night. You can only, like I tell the guys, you can only control what you can control. We can control fumbling the football. We can control making bad decisions. So, we've got to go out there, make the plays, be mentally tough, physically tough, and we'll be okay.
And, Coach, I've got to ask, too, the next 2 region games would be at home, Bob Jones and James Clemens, which would be huge. And really the next 3 games, after that, those 2 games would be you'll be at Milton Frank on Thursday night. But certainly you'd be the next 2 games would be at the Capitol. With your schedule, I thought it was interesting that you guys are just playing, and some do this. They play 10 straight, and then they take their bye the week before the playoffs would begin. Was that something that you set up, or did it just sort of work out that way?
That's how we set it up. We didn't want a bye week in the middle.
Gotcha. That's
we wanted to just go. Last couple of years, we've had a bye, and there's a little, I don't know, much more efficient way of keeping them focused and stuff during the fall break, things like that.
Well, Coach, for the efforts, back-to-back wins, big win over Huntsville. Congratulations. Sparkman Senators, the Bryant Bank Team of the Week, will be out there later this week for a special presentation. But, Coach, a little reward for the hard work.
And we appreciate you guys. We appreciate it. And go Senators.
Yes, $500 to the Sparkman Senators. We appreciate Ronnie Watson for taking some time before school today to join us. But that was a big win for them, Scott. Like we said, they've got this game at Milton Frank against May Jemison, but then 2 straight huge opportunities at the Capitol in 7A Region 4. And so far, I mean, the region's been very, very competitive. The games have been super close between all these squads. We've already seen what happened when the James Clemens Jets were Team of the Week, 34-31, block a field goal to beat Bob Jones. Bob Jones then drops another heartbreaker, 26-23 at home to Florence in a very close game. We just talked about Sparkman losing by 1 point to the Austin Black Bears, 31-30. So it has just been an unbelievable 7A Region 4 so far, and it was another chapter in that 14-12 game against Huntsville where Sparkman, despite the penalties, they got a young quarterback, play very intelligent football, as you heard Coach say at the end of the game, and their defensive front seven, Jamarion Matthews leading the way, was just tremendous.
Mae Jemison comes into that one on Thursday, winners of 2 of their last 3.
Yep.
They dropped a tough one at Fort Payne. That's a tough place to play.
It is.
Fort Payne's an awful good program, and Mae Jemison has some quality along that line. So there'll be a little.
Yeah, they got 2 defensive ends, like led by Hezekiah Harris, who's committed to Auburn, who's very, very good. And so they've got a front seven that's quality. And as you said, their play has picked up 2 of the last 3 weeks. And Fort Payne is a very difficult place to play, but I'm sure they're looking forward to the challenge of playing against Sparkman and Ronnie Watson, who's in the middle of his second season, trying to get those Senators back to the playoffs this year. And you made a great point in that win against Huntsville. No matter what happens coming up Thursday night, but we are hoping the Senators are going to play well. But down that last 4-game stretch before their bye, I mean, you win, you're in. So
they control. I mean, it's a whole lot different being 1-2 versus 2-1.
I mean, you're still even in contention for the region title. Now, right now, they don't own the tiebreaker over Austin, but Austin's got some tough games, and they'll have Huntsville High coming out of their bye next week on Friday. But Austin, under Jeremy Perkins, as we know, undefeated and playing really good football.
Yeah. All right. Let's get a break in. Going to wrap up hour 1. Coming up next, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a report of a wreck Parkway and Martin Road on the overpass. No injury reported. Working one eastbound on Highway 20 near Construction Road. That one in Decatur reported with injury, possible entrapment. Had one on the Parkway near Winchester. That one's pretty well jamming up that whole intersection. Motorcycle involved in that one. And McKee Road and Carroll Road. That one reported with injury and entrapment. Serious injury there. Do your methods to lose weight no longer work for you? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of iconic casinos, world-class shows, dining, and entertainment. Las Vegas. With flights starting as low as just $79, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Las Vegas. Book nonstop to Las Vegas now at flybreeze.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back in on a Wednesday morning. 256-576-4977. You can join the program this morning. Jalen Milroe yesterday after practice visited with reporters ahead of Saturday's Georgia game. The message.
100%, as a recruit, you always, dreamt of moments like this, to play in great atmospheres, great games, and play SEC ball. This is our first test in the SEC, and so it's a great opportunity for us as a football team to have this game, and it's so important for us to just have fun, play fast, free, and fearless, and just acknowledge that it's going to be a hard task and it's going to take 60 minutes of football.
Jalen Milroe ahead of Saturday's Georgia game.
Yeah, it's going to take 60 minutes. I mean, you're playing against a heavyweight, a team that's used to winning. I mean, they've won, 42 regular season games in a row. I mean, their last loss was in the postseason in the SEC championship game to Alabama. So we know that it's going to take your best effort to win this game. I mean, people can skew the numbers all they want. Well, their only good offensive game was against Tennessee Tech, this and that. Look, man, teams hold stuff back all the time, and they still did throttle Clemson. I mean, Clemson is not what they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, but they're still a good program, and they beat them 30. So, you know what I'm saying? They totally shut them down. And the biggest thing I keep saying is, and this keeps you in every game you play, you may be saying that they don't have the star power of other Georgia defenses that we've seen, since 2017. They still haven't given up an offensive touchdown this year. So, and if
care who you've played,
if you're not giving up touchdowns and your defense is going out there stoning everybody and allowing your offense to kind of develop and gain confidence, that's a huge factor. And so Alabama's got to go out and they've got to execute against a defense of this caliber, because Wisconsin doesn't have a defense of that caliber, not close. That's indisputable. Neither does South Florida, who just gave up 50 to Miami and got smoked in the second half. And again, I think Clemson, they're pretty good on defense, but Georgia was able to big play them in the second half, and I don't think that's being talked about enough. Right. The way they responded the one time they were challenged, because it was still a football game at halftime against Clemson, and they came out in Atlanta and dominated. So again, it's going to be Alabama's biggest test by far.
So here's one for you: Georgia's last regular season loss. Regular season, the SEC championship game is not they're not counting that as a regular season game,
right?
Because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when their last regular season loss came in? I did not realize this until I looked at their notes. And this
regular
is from their
season
notes.
Loss.
Georgia's last regular season loss.
Florida.
Correct. November 7th, 2020.
Against Darth Vader, and that's the reason Darth Vader made his one SEC championship appearance, then got a raise and got canned, and now he's a terrible analyst on ESPN to join the crew of a bunch of them.
Wow. That is Georgia's last win over the Crimson Tide, obviously 2022.
Yeah, and I still say 21 because I know it was the first part of 22. But the end of the 21 season, right? Yep.
Georgia hasn't played host to Alabama since 2015.
Yeah, and see, I was asked about that because
we're
looking at rain, forecasted on the weather here on this bottom channel for the Liberals, and but I'm just saying overall, with the weather forecast, someone asked me, will this affect Alabama's offense? Can they play in the rain? And I was like, hell, they did in 2015.
I don't think we'll get much rain. They're not.
Hopefully, it's going to get out of here
on Saturday.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right, we got to get a break in. Wow, we have not talked to Mike Detillier in a minute or two.
Right.
He's coming up next, I believe, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Mike Detillier coming up next.
WWL Radios.
Got to get some Baton Rouge conversation.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The wild card race in both the American League and the National League is tight. The Orioles, Royals, and Tigers all in the wild card of the American League. Minnesota's 2 games out. The Mariners 2.5 games behind. Houston clinched the American League West last night with a 4-3 win over Seattle. In the National League, the Padres clinched with a 4-2 win over the Dodgers. It's a race between the Braves, the Mets, and the Diamondbacks for the remaining 2 spots. Atlanta beat the Mets 5-1. The Giants shut out the Diamondbacks 11-0. Atlanta's on the bubble a half game back. The Yankees, the favorite, plus 175 to win the American League. The Dodgers, plus 165, the favorite in the National League. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back. Hour 2, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us kick off hour number 2 here this morning. And you look around this. I know we've talked a lot about Alabama and we've talked a lot about Georgia, but there's also 17, 16 other schools in the conference that we can kind of turn our attention to, and LSU among that. And man, you got to feel for the Tigers. You do, because wow, you lose your best defensive player.
Yeah, it's just losing Harold Perkins is just a huge blow for a defense that was already rebuilding under Blake Baker and still struggling. But losing him to an ACL in this past week against UCLA is just a huge blow for the Tigers. We're going to talk some LSU. We're going to talk Alabama, Georgia, because our next guest is a huge part of the Manning camp. He saw Jalen Milroe at the Manning camp. He saw Arch Manning. He told us about Arch many years ago. We've seen Arch get his feet wet now, very impressively for the number one team in the country right now, the Texas Longhorns. But it's always great to talk college football with our next guest, one of the best in the business from WWL Radio, MikeDetillier.com. He has an outstanding draft guide. He's been in the business as long as I can remember, and he's one of the best football minds there is. And Mike's been kind enough to join us once again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mike, you're with Drew and Scott. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Great to be back with you.
Yeah, it is great to have you back, man. Mike, you and I were texting this weekend. We were talking about LSU, and I've been a little disappointed. Offensively, they've done a nice job, but I thought they would be better defensively, and at times they have been. But as you told me, it's still been a struggle. And now, even after we were talking about that Harold Perkins' situation came to light on Sunday, that's a huge blow for LSU going forward, who, has been good so far, not great, but it's going to put a huge burden on this offense yet again.
Yeah, Garrett Nussmeier, he's caught in the same two heavy buckets of water Jaden Daniels did a year ago.
Yes, sir.
It just looks different. So, for LSU defensively, they've lost their best run defender in Jacobian Guillory a few weeks back to an Achilles injury for the season, and then now Harold Perkins. So double whammy on that. And Harold, even when he didn't make a play, drew attention.
Yes.
So you had to kind of scheme up to try to make sure he wasn't going to be an influence, especially in obvious pass rush situations. But, it sort of masks what we've seen here over the past 3 or 4 years has been this at one point was DPU, and it ain't close to that. I mean, is the weakest part of their football team in the secondary, especially at cornerback. So, it's a big blow to a defense that really could use as many playmakers as they can at this point. And you basically sort of offensive tsunami-ing people to win. You're winning on the offensive side of football. They played better in the second half against UCLA, though. I'll be honest, UCLA is not a very good football team, and they were 17-17 with LSU at halftime.
Yep.
Mike, the problem in the secondary, is it youth or is it lack of recruiting talent?
Lack of recruiting talent, and Brian Kelly has hit on certain things in the transfer portal, but he's missed badly on cornerbacks. They've went out and tried to address the issue in the transfer portal, and they've whiffed across the board in that May. And so now you kind of relying on a bunch of young guys that you've recruited, freshmen and sophomores, to come into play, and you're going to go through the growing pains. And it's a big jump from high school football to college football. We get them like you guys do. Oh, football is football. No, it's not. This ain't Al Bundy, and you're not at Polk High. Okay? The college football and the NFL is totally different than high school football from a speed standpoint, and you find out real quickly. And so for LSU, it's growing pains now. Brian sort of has made the switch of going more toward the recruitment part of high school players, but man, when you do that, you understand what's happening, that you're going to go through some difficult moments early on with them. And so that's why I think South Alabama is going to have some success moving the football against LSU. Everybody else has. Why shouldn't they?
And they've got a really good quarterback, Gio Lopez. He's a lefty. Got good mobility, Mike. I watched him his entire career over here at James Clemens High School. And I know since he got healthy, especially, I know he had a little bit of a health issue first couple of games, but did a really nice job the first game. I got hurt the second, kind of cost South Alabama a ball game there. And how Appalachian's a really good Group of 5 program. They went over there and just thrashed Appalachian State, and he played really, really well.
Yeah, and so again, we saw Nicholls State. They moved the football up and down the field on LSU's defense. So
yeah,
I think South Alabama will have some success. Now, LSU's talent normally catches you at the end. But again, they winning just like they did a year ago on the offensive side of the football.
Well, I guess that's got to be concerning because you got heavyweights. I mean, you still have Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama. I mean, Vanderbilt's improved. And you got Vanderbilt and Oklahoma on the schedule left. So, I mean, there has to be a pause for concern if you're LSU then going forward.
Yeah, but the one positive about it is take the over on every game.
Yeah, they're going to have to score points, no question about that.
Yeah.
And they're going to score points, need to score points on
they
Saturday.
Can they do it like they did last year? Can they score the points like they did last year?
No, you're not going to score points like you did a year ago. And it was fun to watch offensively. And they needed to because their defense was giving up so many. But, Jaden was a unique talent in that you can't duplicate his 1,100 yards rushing.
No.
And what he did to defenses, man, you on that sidelines and you see those defensive players, their eyes were so big and watching Daniels because, he could beat you throwing the ball, but also he could beat you running it. And then you had 2 first-round pick receivers, in Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. So they're not going to score at that level, but, man, they're going to put up a lot of points. They've tried to run the football this year. It's been the surprising part on offense. They have not run the ball like I think most people thought. They returned 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, and both tackles, Will Campbell's one of the best I've ever seen here at LSU, and he's a great pass protector. But they haven't really gotten a strong push in the running game. You guys are going to see a lot more of the true freshman, Caden Durham. From Texas.
Yeah.
And, I knew he was a track sprinter and listen that. So this is on Sports Talk 2 weeks ago. He takes he has a couple of really good runs and you could see his speed and quickness element going up against South Carolina. So
that's right.
We tried to highlight that. And, we got a couple of texts that said, well, he don't look fast to me. I'm like, I know they have sales on TVs at Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon every once in a while. And then he catches that swing pass against UCLA. Those defenders thought they had an angle on him, and he outran the angle. I mean, he just ran right past them for a score. Brian Kelly's always going to be running back by committee. And so you'll see a lot of Josh Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Jackson has been surprised that he hadn't had a bigger impact because, man, he's pieced together as a running back. I think he's a little too heavy, to be honest. But you have him, Caleb, Josh, and now the young freshman and Cade Durham, who has really played well so far this season. And this will be the first game that Chris Hilton returns back to the lineup. Chris is the sprinter, world-class speed, and he's been hurt with a calf and ankle injury. But he returns to the lineup this week, and he gives them that big play element that they've been looking for. Last year, Chris got open. He had one issue. He didn't catch the ball well. It hit him in a bad place right between the hands. He dropped a few of them. And, Jaden would try to talk to him about, hey, it's okay. I'm going to come back to you. But I think it got in between his ears. We saw great growth in Chris Hilton in the spring and also in the summer workouts, and then he gets hurt right before the USC game. So you'll get to see Chris Hilton and Kyron Lacey, who's been their number one target on the offensive side of the football as a receiver, and certainly a bigger emergence of Mason Taylor at tight end.
Yeah, he's a tremendous talent. I think he's the next in that long line of tight ends that Brian Kelly's developed. But Mike, I wanted to, speaking of development, I know you saw some of it this summer. We talked about it when we were in Dallas, but this is a huge opportunity for Jalen Milroe. He's played well so far this year, but now they're going to face the Georgia Bulldogs, far and away their toughest opponent. Georgia hasn't given up a touchdown all year. What is your thoughts about Alabama and Georgia heading into this game in Tuscaloosa with Jalen Milroe's growth that you saw at the Manning camp?
Well, I played the under on this. I think both teams, it'll be a low-scoring game. It'll be a 23-20 type game. But, in watching Jalen, you can, just from talking to him, you could feel his confidence that, he felt much more comfortable in year two as a starter, which you normally would see in a player. And I've said this before, he's the closest thing in college football today to Jaden Daniels. He's the closest quarterback of that ilk. And Jaden wasn't Jaden in year one. I mean, he could run, but he wasn't a great downfield passer. He was good, short, intermediate. What's funny is I think he didn't trust the longer pass. And I think it's opposite with Milroe. I think he was comfortable throwing the deep ball. It was the short intermediate stuff. And I do know from talking to Michael Penix Jr. when he came to Manning that Kalen DeBoer is going to play to your strength as a quarterback. And, he had been to Indiana and things hadn't worked out there. And a lot of it has to do with injuries. But he had brought up to me about how Kalen sort of plays to the strength of the quarterback. And I think he'll play to the strength of Milroe. Georgia's defense is really good. And so I would lean Georgia, but just a tad there. And it's big games for both quarterbacks. Carson Beck, who I got a lot of respect for, I think he's a tremendous talent. He didn't play well against Kentucky, but the whole team didn't. It's almost as though they were looking ahead. And I know you could say, oh, that shouldn't happen, but it's just human nature. Okay? Look what South Carolina did to Kentucky, and then you play them before you play, Alabama. So I think this will be a tight game, close game, and it's which one of the quarterbacks makes the biggest error in the fourth quarter. Not necessarily the big play of who messes up, so to speak. And from being around a lot of coaches, they always say that, that you can't put everything on the quarterback. But in this game, I think it's a quarterback game. That either, Beck or Milroe will make that play in the fourth quarter. And this is a Pete Jenkins line that you think about all those years Nick Saban was at Alabama. And how many games he won in the fourth quarter, how many games were really close, and he was able to pull it out. And Pete would say, I think that's the biggest hurdle for Kalen DeBoer, that nobody's going to do it at that level. Nick did. And that's going to be the test here. Kirby's been in this spot. Well, so has DeBoer, but Kirby's really been in this spot before. And the one team that has kind of gotten his number, Alabama.
Yeah, that's very true.
Alabama's given Georgia more problems than anybody has throughout the years, but that was with Saban. And it'll be an interesting contrast now of styles of play. And we do know Georgia wants to run the ball, but if I'm Georgia, I take a look at the fact that they lost a first-round pick corner, second-round pick corner, and their top safety transferred to Ohio State. Man, I got to test their secondary. I got to test that spot downfield to see how well they can cover. And so it gives Carson Beck that opportunity too. I was impressed with both of them at the Manning camp. Both different style players, but both tremendously talented. It was so funny. The first visit from Bill Belichick ever to the Manning camp, he went to see Milroe first, and Beck was second.
That's
he sort of knew where he had to go. If he's come back into the league with a bad team, he knew he better find that quarterback.
Yeah, he better. You found one, Arch Manning. What have you thought about his early action? He got a start last week, and he came in to relieve Ewers and has played, I think, really well for a young kid.
Yeah, and you think about Quinn Ewers, the fact that he was the number one rated player in the country coming out. He goes to Ohio State, and then he goes to Texas afterwards, but he ain't chopped liver, Quinn Ewers. So when he just come back healthy, he'll get the job back. But again, Arch showed a lot of poise for a young quarterback. Not surprising. He's got a real nice, quick, over-the-top delivery. He's a big guy now. And he's got running skills more like Red, his grandpa, than he does of his two uncles. He can actually move, and he can move really well as a runner and buy time and also make yardage downfield. I thought he tried to press a few throws downfield in coverage, trying to make a big play. But they all do. Every young quarterback is like that. I can put that ball, it's like Uncle Rico, I can throw that ball over that mountain. And Arch, I think, sort of showed a little bit of that in the two games he's played. But, man, he's got all the talent in the world.
Right.
And he's smart. He's a hard worker. And he is such an accurate passer. I can't teach accuracy. Either you have it or you don't. And he's got it. And once he gets a couple of these games under his belt and understands, he's going to be a star player next year for Texas. The job's his. And, one thing about Ewers, man, he's had difficulty staying healthy. It might not be his last time that he's played, so to speak, as a starter for Texas, just because Quinn's been banged up here and there. And that's kind of the big question mark I would have if I was an NFL team, that he's been banged up in college. That sort of follows you also into the NFL.
Really does. Great stuff from Mike Detillier. Mike, we always enjoy the insight. You've known Arch for such a long time, such great friends with the Manning family. Great stuff on LSU as they face 6:45 p.m. on Saturday night in Baton Rouge against Major Applewhite, South Alabama. And then, of course, his insight into Jalen Milroe's development, Carson Beck, and that huge matchup at Tuscaloosa. Let everybody know how to connect with you, sir.
Yeah, SaintsReport.com, WWL.com. And let's just hope it ain't as hot as last Saturday. Man, that was a scorcher there. Well, those UCLA players in the fourth quarter, they were like, man, we know what heat's about, but this humidity, it kind of chokes you a little bit. Man, it was some hot in Tiger Stadium Saturday afternoon.
That's why they joined the Big Ten.
Yes, it. And then they'll complain about the snow.
Yeah, in November. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, guys.
All right, Mike Detillier.
Oh, them water buckets will be frozen by then for UCLA.
Ain't gonna need them. I'll be like, what the hell did we do?
Why are we in Rutgers in November?
Why are we playing in freaking Minneapolis in December?
Oh, man.
Oh, let's get a break in. Hey, there's more stuff coming out about this whole UNLV thing.
Of course.
Yeah, he did it at Twitter. The quarterback did it. He announced it on Twitter at 12:38 a.m. Didn't even tell anybody else. He announced it on Twitter. Now more stuff is coming out.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got slow going in several areas this morning, coming in on Governors across Montesano. Had a broken down truck, had the right lane blocked up there, big backup. We've seen traffic back up throughout the morning on 565 eastbound between Greenbrier and County Line. And we've got a slow ride into Decatur southbound coming across the causeway. That traffic's been stacked up all morning. Major wrecks, McKee Road and Carroll Road, Parkway and Winchester, and eastbound on Highway 20 at Construction Road in Decatur. Do you need help with a temp project or maybe finding a new employee? Snelling can help. They also do background checks, computer assessments, and payroll. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have the solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, what man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back in on a Wednesday morning.
And you were talking about as the world turns as we went to break.
Oh, it was. So the financial commitments for the UNLV quarterback, they were completely met. Okay. They were met. UNLV met all of the NIL stuff. But after wins against Kansas and Houston, the family hired an agent.
Oh, boy.
And they felt that his market value had increased.
See, that's what we were talking about. He went in there and asked for more money. He
went
was
in-
getting some money. He just came in and wanted more. Tell him to stick it and get the hell out.
UNLV could not do more.
Look, they are. You agreed to a contract, peckerhead. Play to your contract because you pulled a couple of games out your ass. Who cares? You can't go and renegotiate during the season. So quit being a pissant and play for your team because that's what you're doing. And these agents are scumbags, by the way. Scumbags. That's why you got to regulate it because you hire some, whatever the hell you want to call it. I guess it's who was the scumbag in Jerry Maguire? Not it wasn't Tom Cruise. It was the other peckerhead, that stole his client.
Yes. I just watched
trash.
that movie, by the way. It was on the other day. I just watched it the other day. But yes, I know what you were talking about.
I can see the guy's face.
I can too. I don't know his character.
But I'm just saying.
I know what you mean. Hire an agent midway through the year. Agent
let's renegotiate that two games. What if I go out the next game, throw 3 interceptions, we lose? Well, then give me some of the money back. Play up to your contract.
Yeah.
I wish this was XM radio. I'd call the guy every name in the book.
That hasn't stopped.
Bunch of
before.
BS.
Anyway.
I hope UNLV keeps winning. Drop kick his ass and put somebody else in there and keep winning games. Then let Sluka go play for, Sacramento State or somewhere for maybe 10,000 more and then get his ass knocked out. Then let's see where he's at. Guarantee you he doesn't play one game in the NFL.
2 dogs and a cat.
Whatever.
Bulldog Johnny is with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, man. I love it. Drew, rock on, buddy. Rock on.
Well, I mean, it's just crap. You don't do that in the middle of a season. Oh, I'm playing better than I thought I would, so give me some more money. Shut up and get out.
Hey, yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, you're right.
Hey, guys, I was just calling, man. Usually I call and ask you guys your opinions and stuff, just a short rant. Man, how great is it this weekend? It doesn't matter who you pull for. Bulldogs, Alabama, we're in for a great show. I don't know who has the edge. Kirby Smart, he ain't listening to the positive. He's focused on the negative. I know he's going to have my boys ramped up. I know Alabama's going to be ready to go. Man, win, lose, or draw, I cannot wait for Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. I've said it all week. I don't, put a lot of stock in what either team has done up to this point. I mean, I think I do, as far as defensively, what Georgia's done, I give them a lot of credit. Alabama has shown some explosiveness offensively, but, both teams, they've played similar schedules. So I give Georgia probably a slight advantage there, but not a big one. But again, I don't put too much stock into Alabama struggling against South Florida or, Georgia struggling against Kentucky. I just think, these games are going to be they're going to be played on their own merit. And again, we heard Mike Detillier just now. Georgia was probably looking ahead past Kentucky a little bit. Kentucky had just played terrible the week before. Alabama's playing South Florida. They're probably looking ahead to Wisconsin a little bit, their first road game, and it's a high-profile big noon kickoff. That happens. I've always heard this mantra that you can't get your team up for every game, but you got to be able to still execute when it matters. Georgia did that. Alabama did that. And so it's going to be a heavyweight fight on Saturday night.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got championship, you got the playoff, but look at regular season. I don't see anyone else on Alabama. You got maybe Texas on Georgia, but, man, look, college, Go ahead. Game of the year right here.
Yeah. Well, and I think this one's intriguing, too, because I think both teams have a lot of strengths. But I think, unlike years past, I think both teams have a couple little flaws in them as well. And I think that's what makes this one so they're both not finished products right now. And we don't know how they're going to come out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm going to let y'all go, man. I had to get one in at least before the weekend. If I don't call y'all back, I'm going to be listening to every second of y'all. Man, go Dogs, and y'all rock on.
Hey, man. Well,
keep it up, man. I love it.
Thanks, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny, before you go, though, we got to ask you. I mean, we had Grady the Greek, his prediction. I've made my prediction. I mean, what's your prediction?
Man, honestly, dude, it's going to be a lot more than 13-12, but I'm going to go ahead and say 27-24 Georgia.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
appreciate
it. 28-24 Bama. I mean, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, 20. I mean, it's
20.
Everyone thinks it's in that 20-some ball game. 20-some points here, 20-some points there. I mean, it's
similar.
One quick note, though, before we get to Josh Pate, Florida A&M, Alabama A&M. Hey, they're not going to play. Hurricane has they announced it yesterday due to the impending hurricane. They're rescheduling that game. It will be November 29th. It's going to remain at FAMU's Bragg Memorial Stadium, but they have to move it. It's not going to be on Saturday. It's going to be Friday, November 29th. So a little Alabama A&M Bulldogs schedule change. Let's get a break in. Josh Pate's got to join us. I wonder what he's going to have to say about that matchup, and I wonder what he's going to say about the whole UNLV situation.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. An overcast sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to persist all afternoon, even as we head into the evening across the Tennessee Valley. Some of those thunderstorms could be on the stronger end of the spectrum, but we're not talking about any severe weather. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 70s, dropping into the low and mid 60s through the overnight. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible through the overnight early into Thursday morning. Other scattered showers and thunderstorms through Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. An overcast sky, definitely going to be cooler. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still seeing a slowdown on 565 eastbound just before county line. Haven't heard an update on Governors coming into Huntsville. Had a stalled truck there that was back in traffic back to about Hampton Cove. And we've had a slow ride across the causeway headed into Decatur. It's been stop and go there most of the morning. Got a serious wreck working McKee Road and Carroll Road at Parkway and Winchester. A motorcycle involved. Very serious accident there. And had one in Decatur, eastbound Highway 20 at Construction Road. That one reported injury and entrapment. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Situated downtown on Clinton Avenue, you'll find the Church Street family's take on delicious seafood and more. Sea Salt. At Sea Salt, the food speaks for itself. Fresh oysters, shrimp and lobster, and non-seafood fare. Plus a large selection of wines, regional and local beers on tap, and a full bar. Catch the downtown vibe with Sea Salt's unique outdoor city street and patio seating with a view of Jesse Andrews' mural, bringing an underwater world to life. No reservations necessary. Sea Salt, 114 Clinton Avenue.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. We're going to walk away if we don't get more money.
Yeah.
We're just going to say screw it.
Yeah.
We walked in here and be like, you ain't going to give us more money today? Well, then we're done. Screw it. Our next guest probably doesn't.
I mean, he knows how to renegotiate, but good grief, he's gonna live up to his contract.
He's big time.
Yes, he is. He's, of course, the host of the Josh Pate College Football Show, powered by CBS Sports. I think maybe the best YouTube show in the country. I certainly my favorite. Watching it last night. You hear him on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And, Josh, we're certainly going to talk college football with you. You know, Georgia, Alabama, we know that's where you're headed. But this has been kind of a hot topic of the morning. I know you probably saw it this morning as you got up, or even late last night. I know you burn the midnight oil preparing. But what did you think of this situation at UNLV?
Well, we're not enough hours into it where I feel like joking about it with you guys. We're still in the fresh and raw, I'm mad about it portion of it.
I was certainly mad off the air.
Yeah. So, I've always kind of tried to incorporate a rule into how I talk about the sport or how we present it on the show. And that is, if I'm doing a game prediction, who cares? We can do it whenever we want, because that just comes down to your opinion on stuff. Right. But if there is a breaking news story and you can tell, I mean, everybody can tell there's probably more to this than meets the eye. You got to withstand the urge to just run to your Twitter account and start spouting off at the mouth. I sometimes fall victim to it, but most of the time I try to avoid it. So on this, as you'll notice, and as I think I deserve a giant pat on the back for, I have not said a word publicly until this moment about it. I think that throughout the course of the day, I'll be able to talk to people out there and get a full understanding of what the case is, because you've got everything from this kid had the rug pulled out from under him financially to this kid was given everything he wanted and was promised and then tried to renegotiate during the season. And so we'll find out what the truth is, but in the very broad, just general sense, It's pathetic for the sport. That's the breaking news. It's pathetic for the sport.
That's the whole point of the whole thing. I think
that's why Josh the pro.
Yeah, when we have to talk about something like that in college football, rather than UNLV off to a great start, potentially a playoff contending team, we're talking about a player not playing right now because of something else other than just football.
Yeah, and the other part of this, so if anyone's driving around all depressed about this right now, one of the things I'll say is this has to happen. A couple of these just glaring, like unacceptable, beyond the pale sorts of moments have to happen, because right now, to this point, no one's really done a whole lot to fix the issue we have. If you just let the frog sit in the pot of water and slowly heat it up, you'll just boil to death. So sometimes the water has to get rapidly heated up, where hopefully the frog realizes, ow, it's hot. I need to jump out of here. And likewise with the leaders in the sport, whoever that is to you, by the way, the leaders in the sport have to eventually look. Someone has to take the reins. Someone has to step up, say enough is enough, and do whatever you've got to do, and get all intelligent parties in the room together and find a solution or an infrastructure where you don't have to deal with this anymore.
Great stuff from Josh Pate, and that we need that frog in the water. We need to tell Mike Detillier about that one. He could add that to his story and the way his analogies. But Josh, I know you were in Norman, Oklahoma last week. Tennessee, very impressive. I thought the Oklahoma defense was as well, but we see a very similar parallel. Auburn will face Oklahoma on the Plains, both of them having big quarterback questions. First, before we ask a two-part question, I guess, what were your impressions of Tennessee? And then what are your thoughts, first of all, on this Auburn and Georgia or Oklahoma matchup? Pardon me.
It was really obvious, I think, early in the game what the outcome was going to be, Tennessee, Oklahoma. And so I think there was, you could look at that thing two ways. You could either zoom it out 50,000 feet and say, wow, Tennessee did win, but they didn't really throttle them offensively. You could say that like that's some kind of insult. Or you could say, I think Josh Heupel proved to be a mature enough play caller that even in a moment where he wanted to decapitate the opponent, his primary goal was do what it takes to win the game. And he realized we don't really have to do a lot. And I thought the latter was true. I was around Tennessee a lot before and after the game, and I knew that was true. And so I was impressed by it. It wasn't that they had to do something superhuman, as it turns out, in order to win. But I think, again, just like we talked about with the UNLV quarterback thing, that is sticking your face down in the weeds. Zoom out a little bit. The bigger story with Tennessee that's going to matter way down the stretch is they are excelling in portions of this sport that are out of their head coach's wheelhouse. Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma won for a long time by scoring half 100 and holding the other team to 45 or less. But they couldn't do it in the playoffs because that's where you met teams that could play defense. And as a result, there was a ceiling on his program. Heupel's 2022 team was that. Could score a ton of points, but ultimately there was a little self-imposed ceiling on the team and what they were capable of. Now they play defense. Now they are very complementary. Now they are very well developed. They've got good depth. They've got good versatility. And all that does, guys, is it gives you a multitude of different ways you can find a way to win a football game. They can still hang half 100 on you, but they can also go win an ugly game. It would not shock me to, at some point this season, see Tennessee in some 22-16 slugfest, but they're equipped to do it now. And so that's the bigger takeaway. And sometimes it's good for you to experience winning in a little different style. It's almost like adding another tool to the tool bag that you're going to have to use a version of down the road.
Oklahoma comes into Auburn this weekend. You got to see the quarterback situation there in Oklahoma kind of develop.
Early decision for them too.
Yeah. They're going with now a freshman quarterback there. Well, what were your thoughts on the Oklahoma offense, and was it all on the quarterback?
It's tough to say that because developmentally, you certainly don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it wasn't a massive shock. It was a little bit jarring to see, but I remember in the spring, and I may have even come on the show and talked to you guys about it. I remember in the spring, some of the feedback I was getting from Oklahoma was not good at all about the quarterback position. And it was really the turnover issue. The turnover issue had popped up for Jackson Arnold in the bowl game. But the thought was, it's his first start. We'll get the rust off of him. We'll be fine. And, it's just comforting to tell yourself that. But that's not the way it automatically happens. And so in spring, they were still turning the ball over. And the offensive line wasn't good. And there were no real promising signs that either of those would change. You just cross your fingers and hope. So offensive line never got any better than what it was. And Jackson Arnold never stopped turning the ball over. So then you get to the season, and they're lucky they didn't lose Tulane and Houston.
Yeah.
Frankly, they're lucky they were still undefeated when they went into this Tennessee game. But it was like watching the entire house of cards fall offensively during the Tennessee game. And then they bring in Hawkins. I was standing on the field at the end of the game when they scored that sort of garbage time touchdown. There was a big exclamation or a big cheer that rose from the crowd, not because they thought they were about to come back and win, but because they thought, hey, maybe we're seeing some renewed hope for the season. Like with this defense that we have, which is legit, maybe this is the guy. Maybe it won't turn out the way we thought, but maybe we'll still get what we thought we'd get. So I don't know that you could take two programs with their back more against the wall, especially offensively, than you could Auburn and Oklahoma, and they're playing this weekend, which means one of them's going to get a win and one of them's going to get a loss. And the perception will be a 180-degree difference between the two based on that outcome. I think, by the way, I know this is not a huge prediction segment we do every Wednesday, but I think that Auburn is going to find a way to win that game, by the way. Not a ton of confidence, but I think Auburn's going to find a way to win that game.
Wow, that'd be huge for Hugh Freeze, no doubt about it. But you're going to be in Tuscaloosa for this next chapter of Georgia, Alabama. You've been around these games, huge part of it. Georgia is a slight favorite, about 2 points right now over the Crimson Tide. Kalen DeBoer's first measuring stick game really at Alabama. I know that some thought it was Wisconsin, but as you rightly predicted on our show, a whitewashing of the Badgers for Alabama on the road. Your thoughts and feel for this matchup. And by the way, we also have someone texting in wanting to know if you will be in Trump's box.
I don't look. Secret Service and I have such a tangle.
Okay, I got you.
and you guys know that statute of limitations doesn't even allow me to go into that. So the answer is probably a soft no. But ball's ultimately in his court.
Yeah, so, there you go.
A couple of things on this game. Explosive offense versus explosive defense is always really fun because you got an offense that does it constantly in Bama. You got a defense that has not allowed a touchdown in Georgia, and so it's unstoppable force and movable object, to use pro wrestling terminology. I always love those something's got to give games. What's the impact of Ryan Williams? Even if he gets the ball in his hands twice, he could score twice, as we've seen. Kendrick Law is a guy that I hadn't given up on at all, and I think could just randomly shine. Like Isaiah Bond in this game last year had 5 catches for 79 yards in the SEC title game. Jeremy Bernard is just there. I also think it's a gut check moment for Georgia's offense, though. Losing Brock Bowers is a big deal holistically, but then when you zoom in, just like Ladd McConkey, when you zoom in, what that's done is, first off, both of them were very willing blockers. Not what they were known for, but they were very willing blockers. And I don't think the backfield, their positions in either respect, have done a good job on that front. I think also when you had those guys, it allowed you to stay on schedule. It allowed you to be so much more efficient, and they have not backfilled there enough. And they're 84th in rush yards per game. So they haven't been dominant running the ball either. However, kind of like Alabama last year, you guys watched them in the Iron Bowl, and you're thinking, this is pathetic. How is this team going to beat Georgia next week? Blah, blah, blah. What we've learned when these two teams play is it's a one-game season. It doesn't matter. Nothing that happened before. So the Kentucky game for Georgia won't matter. The USF game for Bama won't matter. You just have to count on the fact that you match athletes with them. You've got one of the best staffs in the country. You could be talking about either team. You got one of the best staffs and rosters in the country. You count on guys to earn their paycheck in this game, and you count on them to find favorable matchups and just find fractions of inches here and there. I think one thing that I would do, if I were looking at Alabama and all this youth in the secondary, it's not just throwing on those guys that you test them with. You test them by making them tackle on the perimeter. Your athletes tackling them on the perimeter. And if they can do it, great, but you got to find out. I think Alabama will run the ball successfully. I think they've got plenty good enough depth and talent on the offensive line. I like their stable at tailback. The running back also at quarterback, or the running threat at quarterback, is also there. They're number 1 in the country in yards before contact per rush right now. So that's a testament to that offensive line doing its job. Kentucky ran for 170 on Georgia. The Georgia health is one of the most important things in this game. They're getting guys back, but getting guys back is one thing. Having their legs fully under them where they can give you 30, 40 snaps in a game, that's another thing. And I wonder about that. I think the revenge matters for Georgia. I think staff continuity and familiarity with this game matter for Georgia. But I also think there's another thing that I hadn't really been able to shake, and that is, while Kalen DeBoer has not faced Georgia, he hadn't faced Kirby Smart. Lanning left Georgia and promptly instituted everything they do at Oregon. And DeBoer beat him twice last year as an underdog, and did it one time throwing on him, and did it another time running it down their throat when they weren't supposed to be able to run the ball at all. And because of that, in a coin flip situation, I ended up rolling with Bama to win the game. I think they're 2.5 right now, so it's pretty much a coin flip to me. I think the line should be a pick 'em, and I went Alabama, very close.
Does Georgia come out and surprise you? Think us? I mean, they've not shown a lot of explosiveness on offense. They've not putting that ball down the field a ton. Do you think they come out and try that early on against that Alabama secondary?
I'm sure they will. They had the play down the right sideline, I believe, or the left sideline to Arian Smith in the SEC title game. it's always sort of perplexed me why he's not more effective in their offense. I know there's a reason. I've just never understood it. He's the fastest player on their team, and he is the guy that, I would try and feature. But going back to what you were asking, you got to have time. And you're missing your interior offensive lineman, maybe your best overall offensive lineman on that roster, and Tate Ratledge is going to miss this game. Mm-hmm. And so I've got to trust with Bama's pass rush out there. I've got to trust my offensive line to give me time. And, Beck is really good at dumping the ball off. He is really good at, I heard Kalen DeBoer say he's really good at managing the game, not as an insult, but as a compliment. They're right about that. But at the same time, yes, the answer is yes. You've got to find that. It doesn't matter if a guy is not averaging 115 yards receiving per game. You just got to find it a few times.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great football game, no doubt, and great atmosphere. I know you've also been being a weatherman this week. Hopefully you're right, and this weather's going to be out of here, and it's going to be perfect night of college football. But that's what this game deserves, Josh.
Yeah, it does. I didn't think I would be saying this to you 96 hours ago, but I actually think the Louisville-Notre Dame game will be more impacted by Helene than the Alabama-Georgia game will. So how about that? How about not casting first aspersions on a tropical system early? That's a headline I didn't think I'd be uttering.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Josh. He's still gathering intel on this UNLV situation and the latest weather report in addition to the best knowledge in college football. Josh, we really appreciate it. Have a great show tomorrow, and safe travels to Tuscaloosa, and we always enjoy the visits.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks. Josh Pate, kind enough to join us like he does each and every Wednesday. Let's get a break in, shall we? Wrap it all up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck on Holmes near 14th. They had that one listed with injury and possible entrapment, but I think they've canceled everyone on it. Madison Boulevard and County Line, that one had injury reported. Pulaski Pike and University had a school bus involved, no injuries there. We had eastbound 20 at Construction Road in Decatur that was an injury type. Had Parkway in Winchester with a motorcycle involved. That one's been a major delay area. And we had McKee Road and Carmel Road. That one started working very early this morning, still showing it on the board. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
T-minus 3, 2, 1. Blast off.
Groups have more fun with the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Toyota Field is the perfect backdrop to celebrate. Please enjoy great benefits like preferred seating, $2 ballpark credit per ticket, recognition on the video board, all-inclusive options, and much more. Visit TrashPandasBaseball.com/groups for details. The Rocket City Trash Pandas. Have a blast.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Major League Baseball.
Rain, go away. Just like NIL. At least in the current form that it's in.
Yeah.
So Jay Moore doesn't have a job. Thank you, Paul, crew.
Does Jay Moore have a job anyway?
I don't know. His character was a peckerhead.
Ding, 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 ding. Poor Doug. Anyway, we've got the Atlanta Braves. They're a half a game back of the Arizona Diamondbacks for
Game
the
back
third
of the
and
Mets.
final wild card. A game back of the Mets for the second wild card spot. There's only two spots left in the National League for playoffs. That is the second and
that's your
third
three
wild
teams
cards.
that's in the mix, as you just mentioned.
San Diego Padres, they wrapped up one of the wild card spots last night. So it's the Mets, Diamondbacks, and the Braves really battling for two of the three wild card spots. And then in the American League, it's pretty much the same thing. The Tigers, Royals, and Twins are battling for two of the three wild card spots in the American League. That's it. Those are the only two spots left in both leagues for the playoffs.
Yeah, man. You know, the weather forecast doesn't look great for Atlanta. We'll see. They won 5-1 last night. Schellenbach did a great job. Bullpen, Homer from Ozuna, 3 hits for Money Mike. Michael Harris did a great job, and they were able to subdue the Mets. But we'll see what happens in the coming days. They may have to play some doubleheaders, and the Braves' schedule is difficult, though. It's all at home. It's all in Atlanta at Truist Park, but they got to play the Mets 2 more, and then their final 3 are a team you just mentioned in the heat of the wild card race for the American League, and that's Kansas City.
All right. I guess you got a minute or so if you want to join the show. 256-576-4977. That is the number to get in.
Brewer Hickman squad already in.
They are, and I got to see. I didn't look to see
the Philly. I mean,
I'm hoping
it was the Phillies. Now it's the Brewers.
Makes the playoff roster.
Yeah, we'll see. 7-2, the Brewers won over the Pirates last night. So I hope he makes it. I hope he gets a shot to at least be a part of it.
I'm hoping he does. Now, he got that late call up.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm hoping he is a part of the lineup.
Had a really good year in Nashville.
Yeah. Boy, you look at Twitter and it's so funny because Josh is so right.
Yeah.
It's so right. I mean, the comments coming in about the UNLV situation is so funny. And then Josh is like, yeah, you gotta dissect, you gotta learn a little bit more about it. But
yeah,
it's interesting to see.
Feel bad for Barry Odom and the rest of his teammates, but maybe they'll pick up the slack and still win. And whatever his name is can go be a quarterback at some other podunk school.
All right.
Live up to your contract, people. You don't renegotiate during a season.
Got college football tomorrow night, by the way. Army and Temple.
Yep.
That's going to be your Thursday night.
That's what it is. That's what I forgot about. That's going to be on WZZN Talk Radio.
Army's a 14-point favorite over
against
Temple.
They're off to the Army and Navy are both all on fire right now.
Yeah, they are. We'll bring Dan with us real fast for like 2 seconds.
Go ahead, Dan. Hurry up. Let's go.
Tigers. Pull for Tigers, fellas. Come on. It's been a while.
They've been red hot. They're the hottest team in baseball right now.
Right,
since 2014. Since 2014.
Bama this weekend in the points. I want the points. See ya.
Bama. He's taking Bama with the points.
Take him to 2+2.
Wow. There we go.
Coming in hot.
Interesting. going to be interesting in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Did you get a ticket yet?
I'm working on it.
Hey, maybe?
What in the heck is this? Is somebody in the commode?
I don't know. Maybe that's just because that's where the show went. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would have been kicked off the, we would have been fined by the FCC during one of the breaks.
Yes, you would have. George Carlin Live.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration.